Welcome to our podcast, Michelle and Stacey, all things small business.
We hope you enjoy this episode and please visit our website, michelleandstacey.com.au.
That's MICHELLEANDSTACEY.com.au. We would love to hear from you.
Welcome to today's episode with Michelle and Stacey, talking all things small business.
Today, we're going to talk about negotiations.
Yes, but why would we want to talk about that?
Well, we're talking about it in relation to this series, which is about selling your business. So it's pretty damn important that you need to be able to negotiate something.
It is. It is. Now, when we talk about negotiation, what do we actually mean by negotiation?
Well, I guess it depends on where you sit. But, in old school, negotiation would be, I want to get you and I want to get the best possible thing and I don't care what you get. But in today's environment, really, negotiation should be about getting the best outcome for both of you. Now, that might mean different things to different people, and we're going to go through some things today about it. But I think, to me, that's the meaning. Do you have any other viewpoints on that?
No, I think the only maybe other little part I'd add to it is that it is possible to get a good deal for both parties without ruining the relationship.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a really important piece to it, is that the relationship stays intact, because depending on the deal and what's in it, you may need to actually still be talking to each other.
Well, you want to be.
For months and years after, right?
Well, you want to be, right? And why do you want to be? Because you've started this small business. It's your baby. You're handing over the baby. You're letting the baby leave home and you're giving it to someone else. It's like getting married to someone else, right? They've gone. The kid's gone and it's married to someone else, right? Now, you want to still have them over for dinner, don't you? So same deal. You don't necessarily want to be at their dinner all the time with the new person, and they may not want you, but you want to be on terms that you can go and go, oh, I'm really proud of that. Or they might want to come, oh, look what we're doing now. You can still be proud 10 years on. I started that business. It's great. I'm still part of it in a way because I'm the founder.
Yes.
Now this person has made it grow up on my behalf. So you still feel like you've got a stake, even though it might not be a financial stake or a business stake. You might not have anything to do with it really, but it's a personal stake into that business.
It is. It's it's pride. It's your legacy. And it's also not just necessarily the person that you've sold it to or the people, because it might be more than one person that you've sold it to. It's also that person or people that have purchased your business may still be using, and probably are, some of the suppliers and staff, even customers or clients that you've been working with and dealing with for years and years and years. You will probably still have relationships with some of those people.
That's right.
And they're still part of your circle. So you want to make sure that
they're still happy.
Everyone's still happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving pieces and people involved in this transaction. So negotiation, and what do we mean by it and why is it important really is that
getting the best possible outcome for both parties.
Yes.
Yep. Agreed?
Yes. So I guess the next piece then is timing. So when does negotiation start?
Well, most people, when you think about negotiation and you're trying to go to sell a business, you naturally would think, oh, it's when we've kind of gone through everything and we come down to what's a real price. But no, I don't believe that. Negotiation starts from the first conversation between the seller and the purchaser. And why is that? Like, why does it start straight away effectively?
From day dot, when you start having a discussion with them, they're sussing you out from day dot, and technically you're sussing them out too. So first impressions do matter, and there can be little things that get said in that very first discussion
Mm.
that come up later that could actually make or break the deal.
Mm.
It could be a little thing such as, I've lived in this country for 10 years and I love it here, but I can only see myself here for another 5. And then I'm going to go overseas and I'm going to live in another country.
Mm.
Well, if that's what a potential purchase is saying to you during one of your initial chats, but then later as you get them further into the negotiations, they start saying, oh, no, I'm definitely going to be here forever. I can see you. They're like, oh, hang on. Number one, what they've said originally now doesn't line up. Number two, trust. Like, what's happened there? Like, how are you going to trust someone if they said that yesterday and, today they're saying something different?
Yeah. It's a bit like, again, going back to, the kids leaving home. Now they're going to marry someone. So they're in that relationship. And, one person in the relationship really want kids. It's really important to them. The other person goes, no, I'm never having kids. So you can, they might go along, have a great time. Then they want to get together. This person really doesn't want it, but they don't want to lose that person. So they go, sure, I'll have kids with you. But you kind of go, do they really? Or will they try and stop it somehow? Or, I don't know.
Yeah. Or
You kind of leaves a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth if it's something that's really near and dear and you're passionate about it. Yeah.
Definitely. So look, that probably leads us into like some of the considerations.
Yeah.
When you're negotiating, what should you be considering? And we've probably touched on a
Well,
in
which
that
is
discussion.
the integrity and the consistency, so making sure that you're consistent. Both of you are consistent throughout, because that then leads to trust, because, if you're not consistent, then you go, hang on a minute, not sure that I really trust this person. They said this one day and that the next. Don't know about that. So I don't know whether they'd be a good person to lead my business. I've got all these staff and I treat my staff, treated my staff well. I want them to be happy. I want them to go into good hands. And if there's someone who's saying one thing to me the next, one day and something to the next, are they going to be good to my people that, I've got a lot of respect for myself? Yeah.
Definitely. And I think the other thing is what, we'll sort of put a few examples out here now. It doesn't mean that they can't change their mind, but sometimes it's also about how they say it, what the tone is, what they add to that when they say it. They say, oh, I can't see myself being here in 5 years' time, for example, living in this country. And that's it. You don't have any context behind that, right? So it could be that as you get further into the conversations or you probe and ask more questions, it's, oh, yes, because I've got family overseas, my plan will be to move back there and manage the company, manage the business from overseas. But I'll be still spending 6 months of the year in this country.
Yeah.
I'll be spending 6 months of it overseas, and I'm going to hire a manager to be able to run all of this. And for the next 5 years, I'm going to be here and I'm going to get that manager and I'm going to train them up. And, and if it doesn't work out, then I'm not going overseas in 5 years' time. I'm committed to making this work. But my goal is to be overseas in 5 years' time and only be here in the country for 6 months of the year from then on, right? That gives a lot more context to that opening little sentence of, I can't see myself being here in 5 years' time. So context is everything. So you really got to make sure that you're asking enough questions, because it doesn't mean, I guess what I'm saying is things can mean two different things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you can't lose trust because of that. You can only build trust in that situation by asking more questions.
Yeah. So you need to be open. Just because they say one thing, like that, you're right, but you've got to make sure that you're convinced that they're not going to be a bit like airy-fairy and swap their mind all the time. But yeah. So look, I guess leading from that, what attributes or what like you said before, considerations do you need to be a good negotiator? So we'll just get down to the nitty-gritty here. So you've got to think about, okay, I want to do a really good negotiation here. So what do I need to be able to do to be really good at this?
I think one that we might do a bit of a dive into is emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is probably an area that people have probably heard it being said, but do people really know what that means and what comes into play there? And I think this is about self-awareness. It's about self-regulation, so not letting your emotions, take over. It's about having some motivation, understanding that motivation, empathy,
yeah.
and social skills, which it sort of links really into communication.
Yeah.
So I think there's some of the around emotional intelligence, and I think it's really, really an important piece to be able to understand that and to see that in people, but also to have it yourself so that you can actually recognize these other qualities in people and lean into elements of that.
Yeah, and I'll give you a bit of a like, so from some experience talking to some clients that were going to sell the business, and it was a father and a son, and the father had really had enough and wanted to get out, and he was quite happy. They kind of talked about the price and everything like that. Pretty happy. But he was just so at the point, I'm over this. I just want to go. I just want it. That's done. And yeah, if they want to drop the price, okay, I will. And I'm like, no, you need to be more self-aware, because if you go to the negotiate, and then we're talking about the tail end negotiation here, but if you go into that meeting and you're prepared to drop the price, you'll drop the price. The price you've set is fair. They're getting a blooming good deal here.
Yes.
Very, very good. Do not drop the price. So therefore, you need to be self-aware that you're not the right person necessarily to negotiate, and you need to get someone else to do it. Yeah. So that is recognizing where you're at with your emotional intelligence, and that's just one factor of it. But
Yeah.
and other things could be social skills too. Like, not everyone, most business owners are probably people, and they like to talk. But like, I went to a sales conference yesterday, the last couple of days, and one of the guys there, he is a people person, but he comes from an engineering background, and he was a very high, if you know the disc mentality, a very high C. So he had to have everything up in, this done, this done, this done, this done, before he could talk to someone. So naturally, he wasn't great at talking to people. Not saying he's not good at it, but he needed, so he realized that his social skills, I wouldn't say were lacking, but he needed work, because that wasn't his natural go-to. Yeah.
Yes.
So you need to make sure that you're kind of comfortable, competent, and where you're lacking in certain things, that either you go and work on a little bit, get some help, or bring someone else in who's good at those type of things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, look, that comes, that you've touched on, I think, a lot of those elements that I listed before about emotional intelligence, because you're talking about the social skills, and it's not to say that it doesn't happen, as you said. It's just he probably needs to be more prepared. Yeah, to give himself that self-confidence to be able to go in and actually show his social skills that he does have. He also, if he's feeling more prepared, he feels more confident, he's more likely to then be able to sort of look and reflect on the other areas. So things like being able to be empathetic and to see the purchaser and understand the purchaser and what's going on for them. He'll have a motivation, right? Because he's going in for a purpose. He's going in to negotiate a deal.
Yeah.
So that will be his motivation. And if you've got some self-awareness about how you're feeling, that will also help play into your strategy and and preparing yourself to actually go in for that conversation. And that's part of the self-awareness piece, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think, which we need to touch on, is the mindset.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going in with a negative mindset, or the purchaser's going in with a negative mindset, you need to be really aware, because you need to be positive.
Yeah.
You need to have the best mindset possible, because if you're going with a negative mindset, you think, oh, it's worth $1 million, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll take 800, but really, and advisor, your accountant, or someone else is saying, no, it's actually worth 1.2. So if you get it for $1 million, you give them a really good deal, right? But if you're not convinced yourself and your mindset's going, not sure, you'll sell it for 800 when you probably could have got 1.2.
Definitely.
Say.
So I think you've raised a real good point there. So your mindset, you have to go in with a positive one and have it
Yeah.
high, because if you don't, subconsciously, you'll pull yourself down. And that will get picked up by the purchaser.
And they'll jump on it if they're good at this type of thing. They'll jump on it and they'll use it to their advantage. Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's any little wedge that they could find to push into,
Well, we all do
they
it.
will.
We all do it.
We all do it. So selling your business is not too dissimilar to you going to buy a new white good, for example. You go, you do your research online, you kind of figure out what you want, and then you go in to the shop and you sort of, I like that one, but I'll sort of look at this one, so I'll come over, and you'll start negotiating, won't you? And say, what's the best price I can get on this? And you've done your research, so down the road you can get it for this price, and over there you can get it for that price, and online I can get it for that price. But I'm in this shop now, so what's the best deal you can do me? And as soon as they name their price, what are you going to start doing? Oh, well, I know I can get it over there for this. I know I can get it there for that. And see, can you at least match it? And so all of a sudden you start negotiating, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Or what about even going, if you've traveled to Asia and gone to Asian markets, part of the fun of going to the market is negotiating. Yeah. It's a game. It's fun, so you go, oh, no. And then you walk away. Oh, I'll give you this price. No, you walk away and they grab you and come back. And it's all like a little dance, isn't it?
Exactly.
Really?
The only difference here though, right, is the emotion can really creep in because the stakes are high.
Yeah.
This is one of your biggest assets, if not your biggest asset. And this is your payday, in some way, shape or form, whether it's for, we've talked about in other episodes, whether it's for retirement or to set you up for your next business venture or whatever it is. But this is not buying a white good that, could, it's not the biggest asset.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest amount of money you're going to spend, right? But it's, or it's not buying a new top at the market.
No.
It is a big one, but the concepts are the same.
So mindset, if you're going in and you're not 100% sure, your mindset is not at the right spot, and you're going to be open to losing out, right? To potentially, or, at the end of the day, you'll probably still walk away happy. No doubt about it. But really, come on, really, we all want to be the best. And, the other person might be happy to pay, that higher price. So they'll go, oh, wow, that's a really good deal. Yeah. You're just diddling yourself if you don't, work this out and do it properly, really.
So, listening skills are really important. Because you want to be listening to what they're saying and picking up on things they're saying so that you can sort of find, what motivates them, what are their ideas with what they're planning to do. So you can start to really have that conversation and build rapport. And when you do that, it lets everyone's, like the purchaser, for example, guard down. But remember, they're going to be doing the same back to you.
Yeah, but and again, because I've just done this sales conference, so it's very top of mind for me. But the listening skills, like Stacey and I get on really well, but we've got a lot of similarities, but we've got a lot of differences, right? So we probably get on well for that reason, but also because Stacey has a natural way of doing things and I have a natural way of doing something. Some of the things I might do might really annoy her. So you've got to be aware that her or Stacey's style is different to mine. So if you want to have a good negotiation, you need to be able to listen and read the other person and act appropriately. And when I say appropriately, I don't mean all hoity-toity and everything like that, but being able to connect with that person. And then, that connection is what we're talking about before, is the respect and the trust that you have for that person. So the more you have that, the better the relationship's going to be, and the easier it's going to be to get the right outcome for both of you.
Yes. Is there any other considerations that we want to talk about?
Yeah, probably the other thing would be boundaries as well. And again, this probably goes back to personalities, because some personalities, they want to give it all and they're happy to give time, but time is precious, right? And particularly if you're the seller, and yes, you need to make sure you give the right amount of time. And I'm talking boundaries in terms of time here, but you want to give the potential purchaser the right amount of time. But just because they're potential purchaser doesn't mean that they can spend 24/7 with you, right? They need to be able to make up their own mind. So you need to be able to set boundaries. That I've been fair, I've been reasonable, but don't ring me up at 11 o'clock at night and expect me to send you something. That's not right. That's not on. This is the boundary. We're going to work between these parameters. If you ask me for something, I'm not going to give it to you 2 months later, but don't expect me to drop everything that I'm doing and give it to you tomorrow or even next week, depending on what it is, right? So the boundaries need to be clear and the expectations need to be there. So you need to set that.
Well, I guess there's some important factors that should also be considered when we're doing these negotiations as well. The first one I'd probably mention is, which we sort of touched on a little bit, is about really knowing the purchaser.
Yeah.
And we won't go into too much detail on that here because we've done a whole nother episode on that. So if you missed that episode, check out episode 3 in this series.
Yeah. But really, with knowing the purchaser, like it could be really easy because you might work, well, they might be someone that you employ and who wants to buy a business, so you kind of know them well. They could be one of your competitors that you know really well. So it might be easy to know them. It's much harder when someone's cold coming in to try and really get to know them. But it is important because, just talking about, the considerations and that type of thing that you want to be able to do in terms of to get to the place where you're happy, the more you know the person, the easier and the better the outcome is going to be.
Definitely. So the other one I'd probably mention as well in these important factors is really understanding the value, which is something that you touched on earlier as well, Michelle.
Yeah.
Is that know the value of your business because you don't want to be taken for granted and you don't want to give it away for less than what it's really worth. So in terms of, what your business is worth and what its real value is, we've also touched on that. You've done a deep dive.
Yeah, well,
really
we've
into
talked about it.
those.
When you're talking about value, it's not just about the price, right? So yes, the value is the price because dollars, the money, you're going to sell it for dollars, yeah? But the other value, could be the brand, it could be the position, it could be a number of different things. And we have touched on that in previous episodes as well.
Yeah.
So you really need to understand. So when you come to that final negotiation, and I'll go back to my example before, you'd be, the real good price is $1 million. You probably could stretch it to 1.2. But, if you're not 100% clear on that real value, you might give it away for 800. So that's like, 400,000 you could give away potentially. And it's money in your pocket.
Definitely.
Yeah. So understanding the real value of it. So if you understand the real value of your business, you're not going to give it away for 800. No way.
No, you won't. You won't. And so if you want to, listen to more on those, if you missed those episodes, they're back on episodes.
Hey, you're giving
2
a
and
plug,
5.
hey?
Yeah, why not?
Giving ourselves a plug here.
Exactly.
Good.
So go back. Yeah. So these important factors, they are worth re-listening to, or listening to if you have missed those episodes.
I reckon the other thing you've got to, which I also touched on before, which
Yes.
is really important, is emotions, yeah? Because it's your baby, you're going to sell it and stuff. So you can get very, if the other person is a very different personality and they're very business orientated and they just want to do this and stuff like that, and they may say things, well, actually, I don't think that this process, or I don't think your staff are up to scratch and stuff. You could get really offended personally because it's your baby. You've got to make sure that you've got the ability to take those emotions out. So if they have criticisms, or if they have, it might even be criticisms, they might have a suggestion, right? But you might take it as a criticism. Like they might say, I don't like the way that team is structured. I would do it like this. So, and they have the right language. So you've got to go, how dare they say that about this? But you've got to sit back and go, no, what are I actually trying to say here? No, they probably have a good idea. They've really good work, right? But your first instinct, you might be going, no way. What are they? They're just being rude. Not necessarily so.
You're quite right there. And the other thing is some of these emotions that you may be feeling may not even come from something they've done or said or haven't done or said. It could actually just come from the process is taking so long and you're getting frustrated.
Mm.
So it could come from sort of like an external factor, if you like. But it's important that you have that self-awareness and that you acknowledge what it is that's causing it and see what you can actually do about it. Because if you're going to continue the negotiation, you're not going to get a good outcome if you're going in with that heightened emotion, sense of emotion, and that feeling.
Yeah.
And that mindset is what it's because it's going to translate into a mindset and it's going to get picked up by the purchaser and you're going to have a bad day or a bad result as part of it. So it's really the emotions, they really need to be taken out of it. And there's plenty of people I'm sure around you that can assist you in doing that.
And I guess that comes back to talking about emotions. If you are emotional and might not be emotional, but if you're really attached and you're finding it hard, it's you might not be the best person to do negotiations. So that kind of leads on to like who really should negotiate, right? And again, it depends on the timing. Yeah? So I've found in most of the kind of transactions I've done, well, not all, but it depends. But depends on the seller. Like how financially savvy are they? If they're not great financial savvy, they might be great at their business and doing this and it's all ticking along. But if they're not really good on the numbers, and again, they might not really understand the real value. So I've found that, I might talk to the other accountants, the purchaser's accountant, and we can have that discussion. Now, we're not going to necessarily negotiate, but like I may be the better person being the accountant for my client to put across why it's worth that, from a financial perspective, and I may be better. May not be. It may be the business owner. Yeah, I'm not saying in all cases. Or it could be like depending on the size or, how many people you've got in the business. But if you've got a real key person that's going to go with it and they know about it, they may be a better negotiator. So it might be someone within your business who's better at it than you because they know it. So it depends. Generally, it's the business owner who's the best person because they know the business inside out, but not all the time or at different stages through. And we're talking about the negotiation being the whole process from the time someone says, I want to buy your business till the time you sign the contract, right? And that could be 6 to 12 months. So throughout that period of time, it doesn't have to be the same person.
That is right. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. And also, even if it is the business owner that's having the negotiation, having the discussions with the potential purchaser, that business owner does not need to do that completely by themselves. So as much as they may be the face of it and showing up and having the conversations, they can be sourcing advice from all different people and different angles, right? So they could be talking to a key person in their business that knows the business inside out, but doesn't have any ownership, any equity stake in the business. And they're able to strip the emotion out of it. So they're able to really ground the seller. And
you got some examples?
Some examples where that's happened. So I have had some situations where it's a family business that's being sold, and the mum and dad in the business they've got a key person in their business. So it's like a manager that and that manager's been there for years and years and years. That manager has already been negotiating with with suppliers. They've done salary review negotiation, like with staff. They've done, so they know they've got skills in negotiation, and they've actually taken the business from what it originally was.
Yeah, they know the business inside out.
Yeah, and grown it, right?
Yeah.
So but they don't have any equity in the business, and they have been offered to buy the business, but they chose not. they chose not to proceed. And they didn't want to do that because them themselves
They didn't want to own it. Yeah.
yeah. So what happened as a result of that is the owners, the mum dad, they'd found a potential purchaser. They started having the conversation with them, but they were all like friendly, and not really business like in their discussions. And so what they did is they got the manager to source all the financials, to talk to the accountant, to get all the contracts ready, for all the supplier contracts and all these. So they're across all of that. They've packaged all of this up, and they've been able to brief the current owner on what to provide, how to provide it, what to say and what not to say.
Were they in the meetings?
Yeah.
Of the actual
in some of the meetings,
negotiations?
Some of the meetings, not all the meetings, but some of the meetings.
Yeah.
They've even attended meetings with the accountant. They've also attended meetings with the lawyer. So they weren't in every single meeting, but they were brought in on key meetings and key parts. And there's lots of phone calls that happen around all of these meetings and catch-ups too. And some of those phone calls could go for an hour. Some of those phone calls could go for 5 minutes. Some of those phone calls could be 2 minutes. Just, hey, I just want to check something quick with you. All of these little bits of communication and having the right people at the right time are really important.
I got a good bonus out of it.
Yes, they were well looked after. They were well looked after. There's also like other people, such as like business coaches and things.
Yeah.
Sometimes even sellers I've seen have actually gone and had sales training themselves, like basic, like not like full blown courses, but just really basic sales training. Some of them even do online courses and watch, little TED talks and things like that, just to
rev yourself up and get ready for it. So you're in the right mindset.
Exactly. And then I've spoken to clients that have sold businesses that have done the negotiations.
Yeah.
And, they've got tips and tricks, and they've all got different things because all things work for different people. But some of them have got like specific music that they'll listen to while driving to the negotiation
to rev
meetings, to rev themselves up, to get them in that right mindset.
Yeah, your head.
Some of them say, I'll only do these negotiation discussions in the morning after I've been to the gym, because they find, they're running on the treadmill at the gym or whatever
got all
it
the
is.
oxygen.
Yeah. And they're revved up and ready to go. So there's all these little tips and tricks, right, that, that you can learn. And they won't all be relevant and apply to you, but you'll find the ones that are right for you. But yeah, it is important to surround yourself with the right support. So even if you may be the face of the negotiation, it doesn't mean you need to know it all. You just
be open.
Yeah.
Open. Yeah.
Be open. Yeah.
So I guess to wrap it up, the plan, like coming back, you're going to plan for selling your business, but you really want to plan on how you're going to negotiate. So really the plan is, I think for me, you need to know at the end of the day, before you get to that final negotiation, what's the minimum dollars that you're prepared to accept, and what's the terms that you're prepared to accept.
What do you mean by terms?
Well, terms can be, okay, I'm going to sell it today and I'm walking out tomorrow. Or, no, I'm going to sell it. They will need me to help them transition because I can't expect them to run this business because there's a lot of knowledge transfer that needs to take place. I'm prepared to do it over a 2-year period, but I want all my money up front, and I might want a little retainer along the way, depending on what works out the best financially and from a tax perspective, So know before you get into that stage, know exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is, the deal breakers. What would be what's your deal breaker?
Yeah. So some deal breakers may be that the sale of the business must include the staff, for example, because you want to look after your staff and you want to make sure that
they're well looked after.
They're well looked after, right? So that could be a deal breaker. Another deal breaker could be you own the business premises and you're not selling that at this stage.
Yeah.
So that's just not for sale. So it's only the actual business itself that's for sale.
Yeah.
They're there are a couple that I've seen. Another one could be that you definitely, and this part of the terms that you mentioned, right, is so it could be I'm selling and I'm out straight away. I refuse to work for someone else. That could be a deal breaker, right? Yeah, it could be the opposite. Is that I need to and I want to work in this business for the next 6 months or 12 months for whatever reason. Yeah, they're some of the, I guess, the deal breakers that I've seen. Oh, another one I've seen is they don't want any equity or shares in the new business as part of the terms.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm out. I'm fully out. I just want my money and I'm out. I'm see you later tomorrow. So yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, I've seen some as well where, like for me, I always try to get people to negotiate, vendor finance. It's quite common that people want to pay off stuff over a period of time. And my comeback to that is like, why? Why? You're not a bank. Why would you fund them? Yeah. So you need to make sure that, if the price is right, if you can be prepared to do that. And are you willing to negotiate it? But obviously, if they need the funding to help, and well, the funding being you, because you're not taking the money up front, and it could be over a 3-year period, and what's the guarantee you're actually even going to get it? You've sold the business and then they go broke and then you don't even get your money and they've ruined your business, right? So a lot of variables there. How far are you prepared to go? But if you're kind of open to that, like, quite a few clients I've said, don't do it. And they've come back, no, I'm going to do it. Right. So they're willing to negotiate, even though they've been advised not to. And, thank God it's pretty much worked out.
Yes.
But it could not work out as well. But
Yeah.
make sure that you know where you're prepared to go. And the worst thing is they don't have the money to pay you. You lost your business and it's gone. So, so are you willing to negotiate that or not? So it's, I guess, the biggest take out of that is, what are you willing to negotiate? What are you not willing to negotiate? Yeah.
Definitely. And you really need to work that out, ideally. Before,
Oh, well, for sure. You have
well and
before
truly
you
before
have
you start.
discussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps us up.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed today's episode. I hope everyone has as well. Thank you
Thanks
for tuning in.
Yeah. And we hope that you'll listen to our next episode
Maybe 11.
11. Yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you listening to us, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope you found it informative and useful. We would like to clarify that this podcast is for educational purposes only. The conversations are of a general nature and do not qualify or constitute as financial or tax advice. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect any official stance. We make no guarantees about the accuracy, reliability, or completeness of the information presented and are not liable for any losses or damages arising from its use. We recommend you seek the advice of your own legal, financial, or other licensed professional before making any decisions based on the information provided in this podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and tune in again soon to listen to further episodes.